Welcome to the weekly-ish roundup of crafting stuff. That's the name, right? Yeah. My name's Betsy. I run this channel called JunkDrawer Studio where I put up all sorts of crafting videos, and every week-ish I like to put up one of these weekly roundup videos where I show you the best and coolest and nerdiest and weirdest stuff I find on the internet. Usually terrain builds, mini painting, D&D related stuff, things like that. First up is this video on YouTube from Miniac. Miniac does tons of different videos about mostly painting minis, as his name implies. And this video is really cool for someone who doesn't do a ton of mini painting like myself, but just wants some quick, digestible tutorials to make really awesome looking stuff. In this video, here are the 4 that he ends up making. He goes through some color schemes submitted by his viewers and builds these 3 minis in a step-by-step way to just demonstrate how you can get a lot of visual interest and dimension and just really beautiful results out of just a couple colors. He kind of goes through how to start with the main color, then he adds a little bit of white to it to make some different fabrics that match in terms of the overall hue, but also look like different fabrics, different materials. This kind of has the same effect as if you were lighting something in real life and all of that light is kind of washing over the person. It kind of brings all of their colors together harmoniously. This is a really great technique for painting minis, and I just love the step-by-step nature of this video. And if that sounds cool to you, you should also check it out. Next up is kind of an interesting one. This is one where I would love to have some discussion with you all in the comments below about it. This person on Reddit, Banana Milk Top is their Reddit name, proposed this really interesting idea. Here you've just got some very basic wooden pieces for the players, for different objects. There's a little bit of color, but not much. And then they also utilize a dry erase board and grid on the bottom. The general consensus is like, if it works for you, great, but I think I really like making the terrain. And I don't disagree. I like building terrain, but I really like this idea as a way to bridge the gap even further between theater of the mind style of playing RPGs, whiteboard and marker style of playing RPGs, and then full-fledged terrain style of playing RPGs. It actually got me thinking on ways that you can have really minimalist terrain that still looks fantastic. So keep an eye out for a future video. So yeah, leave a comment below what you think about this. Next up is kind of a callback. If you remember last week, I showed this creator, _Francis.co on Instagram, featured in one of my weekly roundups, and this video hadn't even come out yet. I thought it was really interesting that Jazza mentioned this creator in this video. He builds a D&D city out of paper and makes some of the same observations that I had made, that this is a really cool in-between. You're not necessarily just printing buildings on paper, which is completely fine if that's what you do. And in this video by Jazza, he makes some really cool buildings. You can see him here kind of drawing on a lot of the elements. The roofs look really cool. Him and his team glue them up and they're just beautiful. And yeah, it's not the simplest thing ever. I think it's probably simpler than doing a fully fledged built and painted city. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on your strengths and your interests. But for me, this feels like a really cool way to get some detailed and custom pieces on the table a little bit faster. He also makes some really cool terrain and little tiny props also out of paper. And it's fun. It's whimsical. You could also make it kind of dark and gritty. It doesn't have to be bright colors, but it can be. It can be really bright and fun and happy, and it can work for a lot of different settings. And I think it's neat. Next up is this Reddit post by user pragmatic_scavenger. I cannot wait for this to be painted. I get so nerdy, as I imagine most of us do, about these types of builds in particular. Ones that just have so many little greeblies and so many different materials and scraps and pieces of trash, quite frankly. And how if you just keep using more details, more bits, more pieces, you end up with something that looks so realistic, so lived in. Yeah, I just wanted to show this off. There's something about works in progress that are really, really fun. I'm curious your thoughts. What do you think about work in progress photos? Do you get as excited about them as I do? Would you want to see me post more work in progress? I definitely want to and have been meaning to and probably will. This just got me excited and I just thought you all would love to see it. Next up is a cyberpunk city from Eric's Hobby Workshop. I've been following Eric's Hobby Workshop for a while. He does a lot of different types of builds. He's done some futuristic stuff before. He does a lot of fantasy. He's done a lot of Trench Crusade type of terrain recently. But in this video, he creates this really spectacular cyberpunk inspired dystopian futuristic city. I paused on this frame because just like with the last one, I just love works in progress. I just love seeing the materials and just imagining what they're going to look like when they're painted. This has a really killer silhouette. Eric also uses some pre-made things like this printed set that is like a little bar type of little cafe, but he integrates it really well into his final build. And man, this final look with the LEDs, it's just really neat. He said at the end of this video that he had some more things to add to this. I'm not really sure what he's gonna add. I'm excited to see because the final result in this video is dope. Next up, I found on Reddit from username Luke2377, I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say, of fully modular Underdark terrain. I am not completely well versed in lore of D&D. I do know what the Underdark is. I did play Baldur's Gate 3 and this is gnarly. It's so cool. I'm obsessed with the shape, the hexagonal kind of rocks and how these statues that are integrated into the rocks so well are really cool. And the modularity is really interesting because he's got these hex pieces and like if you're looking for it, if you're looking for the seams, you can kind of find them, but barely. I mean, these are just really well made. The rocks, I just nerd out about rock texture even though it's a pretty basic thing. I would be stoked to see this on the table if I came over for a D&D game. I just thought that this was sick. I'm realizing I end a lot of my my descriptions as, I just thought this was sick. Yeah, I just thought this was sick. I just thought this was so sick. Yeah, I just thought this was really, really, really cool. But I mean, that's the point. And next, we are staying on Reddit into the dioramas subreddit, the user MidnightCat86, and they made this little Wizards Library diorama that I thought was so. I love this because it really shows how much personality you can give to something if you just focus on the small details. Scale is not as important to me as is the detail and the care. Now, this is an interesting thing to bring up, right? Because I also mentioned earlier in this video that totally stripped down terrain where you could make big things quickly with minimal effort and minimal pieces, which I also think is awesome. There is a time and a place for everything, and balancing scale versus detail, quantity versus quality, both are valid, but going all in on one detailed piece of terrain is really what I'm trying to say is appealing to me. It's not the only approach that you can take when you're making terrain, but gosh, this is so cool. Now, this is a diorama, right? It's not, as far as I know, for Dungeons and Dragons. But imagine if you played a Dungeons and Dragons campaign with this level of detail in the terrain. Just food for thought. Maybe there's like a very minimal, map kind of terrain, really macro level, and then you zoom into a couple encounters that have this level of detail. That would be really cool to build a campaign around. Here is a quick one from Instagram. This is from Mamikon Paints. This is just a really cool base for a Warhammer model. It's just this chunk of concrete with little bits of rusted metal. There's like a little cable, and that water pipe adds some really extra detail. And what I love about this, you could do something like this a lot simpler and it would look great. But the tiny details in this, like the little insignia kind of carved into the stone here that is half broken off, the little rebar sticking through, the cables. This kind of goes hand in hand with the wizard diorama that I just showed. If you have some bits of your terrain or your minis that have this level of detail, just try it out, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know, like maybe there's like a maximalist approach to terrain building that I could try out, like adding one more detail. How many details is too many? What really interests me is this sort of balance between hyper detail and really simple to just get the story across, and kind of finding these moments that live along that spectrum is really cool to me, and I like all of it. So I fear I'm being confusing on if you should be detailed or minimal. I who am I to say? Do whatever you want. This stuff's just dope to look at. So next up is this DM screen by Tina Fielding. Tina, also, if you happen to be watching this, Tina commented on one of my most recent videos this morning when I had already queued up their video to show in this weekly roundup. So I guess I'm just saying, Tina, I'm sorry if this is weird that we just talked and now it feels like I'm like, oh my gosh, look at their builds. I probably don't need to be saying any of this. Tina, thank you for watching my latest video. And this DM screen is like so cool. It is massive. At one point they kind of glue it to their table by accident with all this foam. It's very funny. Tina manages to make this look kind of like illustrative while being three-dimensional, and I just really dig that approach. You can see the brushstrokes. It's just so beautiful, so specific, I guess I would say. It has a certain look and they really run with that and go all in on this interesting perspective, map, illustration, fantasy look, and the end result is like bananas. It's so cool. I just think this looks really neat. And finally, this is a bit of a different one. I just wanted to show the entire subreddit that is r/Lego D&D. This is so fun. I just discovered this. I've known a few people, some of my close friends, who have either tried to or are currently doing or would love to do a whole D&D campaign with Legos. I think that's a sick idea, but obviously it's expensive. I don't know if it's more or less expensive and time consuming than building stuff from scratch. I genuinely don't know. They also make D&D Legos now, like Dungeons & Dragons Wizards of the Coast has sets. So I bet that helps these folks make even cooler stuff. This is awesome. I believe this is Fluffy from Harry Potter made into this beast. I just wanted to share this because it not only makes me want to play with Legos right now, but it also just gets ideas flowing for terrain. I think this interesting thing about Legos, you can make really detailed stuff, right? No doubt about that. But it is fairly limiting in the sense that you still have a finite number of tools to work with. Whereas when you build terrain on your own, you essentially have infinite resources. That's not factoring in time and money and things like that, but I just mean like you could make anything out of anything. With Legos, you have to be really creative, and it's sort of like a logic puzzle, but it just gets me excited for like building terrain in general. Okay, I'm gonna cut myself off there because I could actually talk about Legos forever. And that is the weekly-ish roundup of crafting stuff. Okay, quick update from future Betsy here. I'm editing this video that you're watching. I wanted to mention a cool live stream that's coming up on June 7th. Now, I have no stakes in this game. I'm not affiliated with this. I'm not advertising this. I'm simply just letting you know because I think this is going to be really cool. There's an RPG called Dread. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Super quick rundown if you haven't. It's a really simple, approachable RPG experience where there is a Jenga tower in the middle of the table, and instead of rolling dice or having character sheets or anything like that, you're playing as your characters, and if you're doing anything that is typically difficult for your character to achieve, the DM has the option to make you pull from the tower. If you pull a block and the tower falls, your character dies. It's not much more complicated than that, but there is a little bit more to it. So if that sounds cool to you, you should look it up. Anyway, the show. There's a theater in Los Angeles called the Dynasty Typewriter. They do a lot of cool shows. I'm not local to LA, but I watch a lot of shows because most of them are live streamed these days. The show is on June 7th at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's led by George Primavera, who is a fantastic DM. He does some stuff with Critical Role occasionally. He has also ran a lot of Games of Dread on the Smosh Games YouTube channel. If any of you are a fan and have not watched this, I highly recommend it. It is so fun. Even if you have no idea who Smosh is, they're a bunch of comedians and they have a whole series of Dread games, and they are really fun, hilarious, RP heavy RPGs. That's it. Again, I have no stakes. I'm not affiliated. I just think it's going to be really fun. I'm going to be tuning in, and if it sounds cool, you should too. If you watched my most recent video, which was my Zombicide 3D terrain set, where I made a full set of tiles for the board game Zombicide, check that out if you haven't. You may have heard me plug this series, the weekly Roundup series, and I'm going to do it again. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know if you have any suggestions for things you found on the internet that you want me to showcase. I think my crafting videos are definitely always going to get more viewers. That makes sense. And they are going to continue to be my main focus. But these videos are really easy to make, and they're so much fun to make. So I'd love to keep doing it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff helps so much. Even just sharing these videos, if you know someone who might like them, I think that's going to do it. I'll be posting a new crafting video in the next couple weeks. Have a good day. I've never done a tagline before. What do I usually end my videos like? I guess I just wave.